what's going on, man? Today is March the 31st, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA Show, where we're live on Twitter. We're also live on YouTube as well. Happy Easter to everyone who's celebrating. I do celebrate Easter, and I also got a nice little head cold that's coming on. I think it's a little bit of allergy, so y'all gonna have to bear with me a little bit if you see me sniffling and sneezing and coughing a little bit over here. It's just some upper respiratory stuff going on. But as always trying to get to the money, always trying to cash some tickets. It's a bunch of games on the board for today. I think it's 10, 11 games. So let's jump into them, man. Let's break them down and jump into them. As I always ask, if you're watching on Twitter, definitely check me out on YouTube and vice versa. The link to all my official plays are in the description, as well as the OddsJam promo code for everybody who may be interested in the best sports betting tool that you guys can find as far as everything. So shout out to OddsJam, and let's jump into it for today. I didn't have any official plays that I gave out on the show yesterday. Had a couple leans, a couple of them cash, a couple of them didn't. So we're just gonna jump straight into it for today, man. And I'll try to be a little bit quicker today, but it's a lot. I know I'm late. I'm about 10 minutes late, but it's a lot. Putting together all these graphics, going through doing your homework on all these games before 10 o'clock a.m. and we don't even have a game until 7 hours before, 7 hours after. It's a lot going on, man. So appreciate everybody for just bearing with me. Let's jump into it for today. And I'll get to the comment section as the games go on. So first game up, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers. They will be in Denver today, getting 5 points as a road dog. And you got Denver. This line coming down to 4.5 in some books as well. And the big news here, we know it already. It's Jamal Murray. I think he means that much. You look at the Cleveland team, and they're getting healthy. Donovan Mitchell just came back. You got him off 1 day's rest. It's the first of at least a 4-game road trip as well. Typically, you want to bet on these teams at the beginning of the road trip and not necessarily the end. So Cleveland, 4-6 straight up, and against the spread in their last 10. They're just 17-19 against the spread on the road, but they are 21-15 straight up. So typically they're road favorites. They do perform well as road dogs as well in non-conference games. They've actually won 3 out of the 5 straight up and covered 3 of the 5 as well. And they're 2-0 in early start time games this season. They beat the San Antonio Spurs, and then they beat Brooklyn when they went to London. So the matinee spot doesn't, it's not they're not too affected there. On the Denver side, this team is 1 day's rested as well. 4th straight home game of a 5-game homestand. They hadn't lost back-to-back home games since March the 14th, 2022, before they lost to the Timberwolves on Friday. So desperation spot here for Denver. Of course, they were in the number 1 seed. They lose on Friday. They lost back-to-back games to Phoenix and to the Timberwolves, and now they find themselves in the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, with the Timberwolves having an easier game today against the Chicago Bulls, which we'll talk about here in a second. So Denver, like I said, hadn't lost back-to-back games in damn near 2 years. You get them 7-3 straight up, but just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10. I talked about the back-to-back home losses as favorites. They're just 4-7 against the spread when they're laying 6 points or less this season. So typically they haven't been covering in that spot. And they are 3-1 straight up, but just 1-3 against the spread in these early matinee games as well. So to me, this feels like one that could come down to the wire, man. And like I said, you do have to wait on Jamal Murray. He is listed as questionable. I think Coach Mike Malone said that he's iffy, quote, iffy to play today. The Denver Nuggets are plus 7.2 in point differential with Jamal Murray on the floor, as opposed to him off the floor. They're plus 3.2. So it's a difficult game, but no Jamal Murray. I'm not betting on Denver. I'll say that. Cleveland did beat Denver 121-109 as 4.5-point home dogs back on November the 19th as well. So yeah, it's a game that I would like to get invested in on the under. If Jamal Murray doesn't play, I probably will be taking the under, and that's the way I think about playing this game. I think looking at from a total perspective, Denver is 4-0 to the under this season in matinee games. So all of their games have gone under when they started. When they start early. Cleveland, only 2 times they played matinee games. One of them was a push. The other one did go under as well. And you also got Denver 9-2 to the under as home favorites of 6 points or more, including 4 straight. So typically they go under in this spot, and the matinee start time could, lend itself to, some flat spots for these offenses. Also, can't trust Denver offense without Jamal Murray. So lean towards the under, probably get there if Jamal Murray doesn't play. Cavs relying a lot on jump shots over the last 2 weeks. Denver has still been elite in the defensive department, specifically at the 3-point line. So I lean under, but not something that I think I'm going to get involved with. Like I said, you kind of got to wait. I just wanted to give you guys the breakdown. You kind of got to wait. Let's go to the comments real quick. Jamie says, good morning, Chris and family. Hope everyone's been cashing. We get a lot more shows. So we know Chris cashing. Definitely trying to. What up to my guy, Prolific, as always. He says, smash that like button on the way in, people. Y'all know the drill. What up to my guy, Justin here? He says, happy Easter, kings and queens. Let's see. What else I got? BG says, happy Easter. What's up, Tasha? Appreciate you for being here this morning. Brandon says, good morning, gang. Happy Easter. God bless all my brothers and sisters. Let's grab some green today. And I'm right there with you. Let's grab it. Douglas says, what's up, everybody? Happy Easter. So we got some happy Easters. Peasy, top of the morning to you. Rick Parker, same to you as well. Joakim says, Chris, you're the hardest working man on YouTube. Appreciate the work. Bankrupt the books. Let's do it. That's what we try to do. Brian says, good morning. That first quarter, first half, Charlotte, you nailed it. I'm glad. I hope you cashed it, Brian. Hope you cashed it, man. Go to Angel says, all good. We appreciate you, bro. What up, Sean? My guy. Tasha says, no need to apologize. I like being on time, man. Lightbearer says, I like the Cavs in this one. I think Denver lacks of youth and athleticism on the perimeter is catching up to them. I don't necessarily want to bet against the Denver Nuggets in this, and it feels like a must-win spot. Like I said, they're the third seed now. I got the seedings pulled up too. They are, hold on. It's not right. It's not updated. Hold on. Let me double check it real quick. Yeah, Denver down in the third seed. They're half a game back of both Minnesota and OKC, who are tied right now. Minnesota holds the tiebreaker over OKC right now. So they are, quote unquote, if the season was to end, they would be the number one seed. Let's see. Jared says, man, I don't like when Murray ain't playing. Yeah, you want to take Denver, don't you, Jared? Lightbearer says, don't forget to smash the like button. Tasha says, Jokic is a game time decision. I did see that, Tasha. He said that he's been playing with that pain in his wrist, which he was icing his wrist the other day. He said he's been playing with that pain in his wrist for some time now. So as long as the medical staff clears him, he said he's fine to play. So I do expect Jokic to play. I saw him listed as probable for this game. SK says early game with altitude. How that gym gonna play? I think it leans towards the under. Joe Kim says Cavs looking pretty healthy. Hard to fade the Nuggets at home off 2 losses, and I'm right there with you. Futon says got the under at 215.5. Let's cash it. That's the way I would look. I would stay off the side in this game. Mark says I really appreciate that you aren't forcing any bets. I never force anything, Mark, because then I feel bad for myself. I feel terrible for myself when I force a bet. And then I also feel bad because I know it's people who trust me that are, also putting their hard-earned money on these plays. So never forcing plays. BG says, I don't know how long you can keep up capping like this, but I appreciate the work. It really helps a lot. I'm happy to hear that, man. SK also reminded us that Okoro is listed as questionable, which I did see that as well. It was Okoro and who else was it? Okoro and LeVert. I think LeVert is going to play, and I did see Craig Porter Jr., who I'm not sure how much he's going to play with Donovan Mitchell being back, are both listed. I think LeVert is listed as probable, and I didn't mention this. LeVert is listed as probable, and then Craig Porter Jr. is listed as doubtful. So, yeah, those are the 3 injuries. Glad you mentioned those as well, SK. Justin says Nuggets -5, played it last night. He not even waiting on the Jamal Murray news. And Tasha says, don't bet against Denver or Boston. And she says she can't trust the Cavs. I'm off. Yeah, it'd be, if I had to play the game, if Jamal Murray's in, I like Denver. I do like Denver. I think that they bounce back and they need him. I know that Coach Mike Malone not going to put him out there unless he's healthy, but they definitely need to win. I'm not fading Denver at the crib off 2 straight losses. Jared says definitely Nuggets at home off back-to-back losses or nothing. And then Darrell says Cavs win the game. Okay, so some mixed thoughts there. Let's keep it pushing going to another game. We got the 76ers who will be in Toronto. They're laying 11 points. I saw this line. I said, damn, even the Sixers are laying 11 points against the Raptors. That's crazy to me. But all right, so 11 and a half. I actually wrote 11 and a half down last night. So this line did come down to 11. You got some people out there putting their hard-earned money on the Toronto Raptors, which is crazy to me. But let's say this. If Philly is healthy as they, no Embiid, no Milton, and no Robert Covington, but outside of that, it looks like they'll have everybody in this game. On the Toronto side, RJ Barrett is listed as questionable. He was the one guy that was upgraded to questionable. Obaji's still out. No Scotty Barnes. No Chris Boucher. No Jakob Poeltl. No. I don't think Yonte Porter's going to play. I think he's still under investigation. He's not going to play. And Quickly's still out as well. So they could get one of those pieces back. RJ Barrett. I'm not sure how much that means in this spot. So looking at Philly first, coming off 1 day's rest, they're not even a really good road team. 18-19 straight up, 20-17 against the spread on the road. They are only 3-7 straight up in their last 10, but they have covered 6 of those 10 spreads. Now, granted, they've been dogs a lot. They're 0-3 straight up, but 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 games. So they have been covering, but they have not been laying this big of a number. We all know that the Philadelphia 76ers typically don't lay a number this size. So looking at Toronto, you get them in the 3rd straight home game. They are just 13-24 at home against the spread. This is not a good basketball team. We know that already. 0-10 straight up, 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games. Philly has swept them 3-0 straight up and against the spread in their last all 3 games this season. So this will be the end of the season series. So it's a couple different ways to play this one. I see Joe Kim said in the chat, Sixers 4-1 last 5 first half. So he leans the -6.5, but could be a really a rally spot for RJ with the situation. So I think the opposite, Joe Kim. I think if you like the Sixers, you probably want to get in early, honestly. I think RJ Barrett, it's 2 ways to think about it. RJ Barrett, hasn't played in quite some time, of course, because, he lost his brother. So it could be a spot where it takes him a while to kind of get acclimated again, and he gets stronger as the game goes on. Or it could be the opposite, where, he comes out and really, is making a ton of shots and impacting the offense a lot, but he runs out of gas late. So it really just depends on how you want to play it. I didn't play it. I will tell you guys from an X's and O's perspective, I did go in and do a deep dive into this game. Philly has major advantages in transition. They're 9th in frequency and 1st in points scored per possession in transition over the last 2 weeks. And Toronto is bottom 3 in both of those defensive categories. So they're allowing teams to get out and run. They also allow teams to score. So not just run, but score as well. Philly's defense has been good at the rim, which is where Toronto's shooting about 38% of their shots over the last 2 weeks, which is the 4th most in the league. And they're taking the 12th most shots in the long mid-range as well, where Philly is also top 8 and 8 defensively as well. Toronto's defense, crazy enough, has actually been the best above the break 3-point defense over the last 2 weeks, which is where Philly takes a lot of their shots from, above the break 3. You got Maxey out there, you got Buddy Hield, you got Kelly Oubre Jr., Tobias Harris shooting a couple threes as well. Campaign and that flicked left-hand jump shot he got. So to me, I think Philly could potentially struggle to score here. Now, granted, this sounds nasty because Toronto's defense is bottom 3 in almost every statistical category. But I think Philly, depending upon that 3-point shot so much, they could potentially struggle to score with Toronto playing much better defense defensively. And like I said, Philly's been launching so they could struggle to score. I think if I had to play the game, I would go back to what's been working for us. I know we didn't cash one game with the Knicks, but Toronto team total under is 103.5 right now on Bet365. Toronto hasn't scored 104 points in any of their last 5 home games, and they average just 97 points per game. And Philly, the reason why they have been competitive in game is because their defense has been good. So it'd be Toronto team total under for me. I also think Philly could struggle to score, especially if Toronto can limit them in transition. So I think with that being said, I would look towards the team total under for the Toronto Raptors. That's the way I would play this one. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. Jared says, I might play the under on this, though. Thanks for the angle. Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I don't like it as much if Jamal Murray's ruled out either. Unless you can get it as soon as he gets ruled out, because this total will come back down. Remember, if we go back to the first game, Denver and Denver and Cleveland opened at 212. It's up to 215.5. Tasha says, I can't take 76ers minus 11 to cover, and I'm right there with you. Definitely right there with you. Tasha likes Maxey over his 2.5 threes. Oh, she's actually, is it? I don't like that one as much here, Tasha. I know he's in a bounce back spot because I think he shot 2 for 12 from 3 the other day against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he could get there, even though Toronto has been the best above the break 3-point defense over the last 2 weeks. Nando says Raptors plus 11 for him and the under 218.5. I think I like the under. Like I said, under the full game under or the team total under is the way I'm looking. Malik, my guy, what's going on? He says, I'm taking the under on minutes I watched the game. I'm right there with you, Malik. Not watching this one. Extreme Pick says Toronto team total under 104. And Michael says Dodgers money line bounce back with Golden State money line parlay. I don't know who's on the bump for the Dodgers today. I know that they did go extra innings last night. And Daryl says, hold on. Hit that like button, y'all. What we doing? Appreciate you, Daryl. All right, let's keep it pushing, man. Let's go to another game. We got so yeah, this one is Raptors team total under 103.5, or maybe even a look towards the full game under, or no play at all for me in this one. Toronto also, I wanted to make sure I mentioned this. Going back to this game real quick, Toronto also, we know them as a fast break team, a team that's relying upon getting out and really running in transition. That hasn't been the case over the last 2 weeks. After the All-Star break, on the whole season, matter of fact, they've been elite at getting out and running in transition. Toronto is still second in fast break frequency on the full season. Well, before the All-Star break, they were second in fast break frequency. Since the All-Star break, they're 21st in fast break frequency. And then the last 2 weeks, they're actually not running at all. 28th in fast break frequency. And a lot of it is because they don't have Quickly or a real point guard. And then 27th in points scored off fast break buckets. So the advantage there goes to Philly because, like I said, Toronto isn't running a lot, which also leads towards an under. All right, so let's keep it pushing. Next game up, we have and I got some plays. Definitely got some plays. So Clippers and the Hornets. Hornets getting 14 points as a home dog. Let me just make sure I got the injury report. Yeah, so Pozetsky, I forgot how to pronounce his name. We'll call him AP for Charlotte, who used to play for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He is listed as questionable in this one. And then on the Clippers side, they got a clean injury report. So Clippers coming to this game with a clean injury report. This line, actually, I wrote this line down at 16 last night. It's down to 14.5. Total was at 215. It's down to 214. So for the Clippers, third game of a 4-game road trip, they got the Sacramento big game against the Kings. Not only a division, not only a conference game, but a divisional game against the Kings coming up on Tuesday. The Clippers are 24-14 straight up, but just 19-19 against the spread on the road. They're 5-5 straight up and 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. So coming off some wins, but they haven't necessarily been covering these numbers. And I can't look towards the Charlotte Hornets, but I think that's will have to be the play in this game. I don't think, you know what? Let me keep going because I'm not playing this game. Charlotte is on the first leg of a back-to-back. They got the Boston Celtics tomorrow. That game will also be in Charlotte, though. And it's the third straight home game of a 6-game home stand for the Charlotte Hornets as well. This team is not good, of course. 25, they're 10-25 at home, 15-20 against the spread at home, and just 3-7 straight up and against the spread in their last 10. 4-6 against the spread as a home dog of 10 points or more. So they've been double-digit home dogs quite often, and they don't necessarily cover. Golden State did just cover against them in this spot. We want to Golden State first half. Of course, they didn't cover there. So from an X's and O's perspective, before I talk about specifically the first quarter, Charlotte is 28th in opponent rim frequency and opponent rim accuracy over the last 2 weeks, which means that the Clippers, if they really want to put their head down and get to the rim, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, James Harden, Zubac, all of those guys should eat in this spot. This should be a really big game for Zubac. The Clippers, they're shooting the third most long mid-range shots, and they're eighth and highest. They're shooting it at the 8th highest percentage over the last 2 weeks. We know Kawhi, PG, even James Harden, Russell Westbrook like to get to that pull-up, like right in the long mid-range, not a three-pointer, but like free throw line extended. Charlotte has been excellent there. Crazy to think. They're number one in frequency, so they're limited teams to, being able to shoot that shot. And seventh in accuracy, which could mean that the Clippers have to go to shooting a bunch of threes, which I'm pretty sure that they could care less about. Like, the Clippers love just jacking up threes. So this could be a spot where Paul George hits a bunch of threes. I know he's been, I wouldn't say struggling, but not necessarily, the best version of himself. I can see Norman Powell having a big game here. The problem with this game is that Charlotte plays at such a snail's pace. I wanted to get there with the Clippers team total over, but I don't necessarily know if they need to score that many points, just because the Hornets could really come in here. And granted, their defense hasn't been good, but they could come in here and lock this Charlotte Hornets offense up. Now, we think back to the Orlando game, or at least for myself, when I think back to the Orlando game, we had Orlando +3, and that ended up being a push on Friday night. The Clippers defense, the reason why we took Orlando +3 is because the Clippers defense have been struggling. Ty Lue called them soft, and they come on this road trip, and they actually start playing defense again. They beat Philly, didn't give up a ton of points. They beat Orlando, didn't give up a ton of points. And granted, Orlando offense has been struggling, but so has Charlotte's offense. So can we really expect the Clippers defense to struggle against the Charlotte Hornets? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure there. I know I'm not playing the game, especially with this big of a number. I typically like to take home dogs. Charlotte could just really come out super flat, not score any points at all in this game, and Clippers could cover and win. So that brings me to first quarter. So one thing I had looked at was, let me see if I can pull it back up real quick. I had looked at the Charlotte Hornets as a 10-point. So Charlotte Hornets is double-digit home dogs, and they're 1-9 straight up. The only win they got came against the Pacers. 4-6 against the number. I said that already. They're losing by an average of 14 points, 114 to 100, which is where you see the spread at right now. And they're 8-2 to the under in this spot. The only games that went over was the game against the Lakers, and the Hornets won the second leg of a back-to-back. And the game against the Jazz early this season, January 27th, the Hornets won the second leg of a back-to-back. So that says to take the under in this spot. The Hornets team total, I think, is like 97.5. That feels a tad bit too low. But what I will say is when the Hornets are double-digit dogs, they get smoked early in the game. So the Clippers' first quarter is actually on my short list. In these 10 games that the Hornets have been double-digit home dogs, they're losing the first quarter on average 30.5 points they're giving up to 22.7 in the first quarter for their opponent. So that's an 8-point margin almost. What is that? Like 7.8 margin in the first quarter specifically. And we saw it happen with the Golden State Warriors the other day, where the Hornets just struggled to score the basketball at the beginning of the game, only averaging about 48 points in the first half, which is probably on par for their team total. So I like the Clippers early in this spot. I know that the Clippers tend to struggle at the beginning of the games, especially recently, but it'd be against this Charlotte Hornets team. I don't think that they'll struggle to score the basketball. So I like LAC early in this spot. First quarter ATS, if I had to play anything. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's go to the comments. Fred, what up, my guy? He says, what's up, Chris? Happy Easter to you and everyone. Happy Easter to you as well, Fred. You and the fam, bro. Hope everybody's doing well. Tasha likes the Clippers team total over. Nando likes the over as well. Joe Kim says Clippers team total over. Also, Hornets team total under 99.5. I like them both. Tasha says Clippers team total over 115. Charlotte don't play defense. They don't, but they play so slow, Tasha. That's the only thing, man. They play so slow. I gave you guys numbers. When they're home dogs of 10 points or more, the Warriors got to 115, but they didn't. I don't even think the Warriors didn't hit their team total. The Warriors team total was 116. So they held the Warriors under their team total. This is the reason why I didn't play it. Real quick, because it sounds easy to take the Clippers team total over. Maybe it is that easy, but the Warriors didn't get to their team total. They scored 115. Their team total was 116. The Suns didn't get to their team total in this spot. The Suns went under by 8.5 points, and they still won and covered 107 to 96. They were laying 10.5 and won the game by 11. Also, the Bucks didn't get to their team total. The Bucks beat them 111 to 99, and the Bucks went under their team total by 4 points. Same thing for the Pacers, who went under by 22 points. So the last 4 times that the Hornets have been home dogs of 10 points or more, they not, I wouldn't say held their team total under the other opponent under their team total, but you don't necessarily have to score that many points. And that's why it's not as easy to take a team total over. But yeah. Daryl says Clippers cover easy. Joe Kim says Clippers look like they're finding some identity again. Kawhi said, get the ball to me. He did say that. Nando says just bet the Hornets plus 14.5. Both right. Both 3 and 10 ATS last 10. Chico says under. This is what I was thinking. Tasha says no way I'm taking the Hornets. I agree there. Bhutan says Zubac double is plus 110. I love it. I didn't even look at this. I meant to. Double plus 110. I'm writing that down on the short list as well. I think that could be the play. Fred says, like the money line parlay, 2 already. Took Denver and Boston first quarter. Took Denver, Boston first quarter. First half, maybe. Boston off today, Fred. They don't play today. What's up, Free Sauce? Joe Keefe says a safer bet. Hornets team total under 99.5. Think so. I do think so. I don't think that they're gonna score. Michael says, do you like GAW? I guess that means Golden State to win, trying to parlay another money line game. I didn't make any parlays today, Michael, but I do like Golden State to win. We're gonna get to that game in a second. Brian says Charlotte team total under first quarter, unless it's Cleveland. Looks like a good look. That's a fact. Yeah, a couple different ways you can play this game, man. Charlotte first quarter team total under. I said they're only averaging 22 points, 22.7 points when they're home dogs with 10 points or less. And Thomas says he played college so far, North Carolina State plus 7.5 and the under 143. He says he needs some NBA. Chris is the best. Appreciate that. Tasha says Harden rebounds over 8.5. That could be a good look as well, Tasha. I said Charlotte really struggling to rebound the basketball. All right, give me 1 second. I need to go grab a tissue so I can blow my nose, and I'll be right back to do this Lakers in this next game. Oh, man. All right, let's Tasha said she meant Harden assists over 8.5. I was gonna say his rebounds a little high, 8.5, but he probably could get a double-double as well. All right, so let's go Lakers and Nets now. Very, very intrigued by this game. So this line actually opened at 5.5. So money has come in on the Lakers. This line's now up to 6. And this is a spot where if you look into the trends, you're probably not gonna want to take the Lakers. They don't really play well on the road. They don't really cover a lot of spreads. But I do think that they're gonna bounce back. So Anthony Davis and LeBron are both listed as questionable, as they always are. You get a Lakers team coming off 1 day's rest. It's the 4th of a 6-game road trip. But the Lakers need these wins, man. They absolutely need these wins. And this is what I meant when I said the Lakers haven't played well on the road. 14-21 straight up. Only 15-20 against the spread on the road, but they have been winning 7-3 straight up and 6-4 against the spread in their last 10 games. As a road favorite, though, just 3-9 against the spread, and that's 1-8 against the spread in their last 8. So the Lakers have not been covering on the road. For whatever reason, they just don't cover on the road. Brooklyn. Start with the injury report. They could get Cam Johnson back. I know he's missed the last few games for this team, but he could make his return today. And I think that helps them a lot because they need another 3-point shooter. Yeah, Dennis Smith Jr., which I'm not sure how much he means to the report. Also, Gabe Vincent is listed as questionable. Forgot to mention my guy Gabe could potentially come back today. All right, so Brooklyn 4-6 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. They're coming off 3 straight wins. In the last one, they actually won by 17 points as a 3-point dog against Chicago Bulls on Friday. You do get a big revenge spot here for the Lakers. They lost to Brooklyn 130-112 as 7-point favorites back at home in LA on January 19th. If anybody remember that game, the Lakers actually came out on fire and then just literally couldn't make another shot. And Brooklyn got hot from three. They hit a ton of threes in that game. I think 19 threes in that game. And that's what they just did in their last game as well. Hit a ton of three-pointers. And that was something that I really wanted to look into real quick. Let me just, I wanted to, so I can look at that too. 3 pointers made greater than 17. Yeah, so they hit a bunch of threes in that game against the Bulls. They hit a bunch of threes against the Lakers in that game earlier this season. So I like the revenge angle here for the Lakers. I also like that the Lakers are coming off a loss. Do they win by margin though? Is the question for me. I think Lakers got major advantages here. I only felt a couple for Brooklyn. Lakers been shooting the three well, but Brooklyn is defending it well. They're top 6 in opponent three-point accuracy from all of the locations on the floor, whether that's corner three, above the break three. They're doing a really good job of defending the three-point line, the Brooklyn Nets as of late. Now, advantages for the Lakers, and why I want to get there with the Lakers. It starts at the rim, right? The Lakers are 7th in rim frequency and 8th in accuracy over the last 2 weeks. So they're really putting their head down. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura. And Brooklyn, 18th in opponent rim frequency and 23rd in accuracy. So they're not doing a great job of defending the rim. Lakers also have major advantages in transition. They're 10th in frequency, 4th in point score in a transition as well. And Brooklyn, they're 10th and 21st in those departments. So I think advantage here goes to the Lakers as far as their offense. They should be able to score the basketball, even though Brooklyn is doing a good job of defending the three-point line. The Lakers have also been top 5 defensive team from three themselves, and Brooklyn is shooting 40% of their shots from three, and they're shooting them at just 33.7% over the last 2 weeks. So even though Brooklyn is coming off a game where they shot really, really well against the Chicago Bulls, shot the doors off, shot the lights out in that game, I don't think that I don't see that happening. I don't continue to see that happen. I think that the Lakers, can slow this Brooklyn Nets team down. Also, major advantage here for the Lakers. The Brooklyn Nets don't run the fast break. The Lakers struggle against teams that run the fast break, and Brooklyn doesn't run the fast break. The Lakers also a team that does run the fast break, and Brooklyn does not defend it well. So it's a lot of angles to like the Lakers in this spot, man. I think I haven't placed it yet. Excuse me, but I think it's a Lakers spot. You also get the bounce back spot says that the Lakers, the Nets are 2-9 straight up, 2-8-1 against the spread where they're coming off a win as a dog. So typically they haven't been able to put together these back-to-back, performances. They also have lost 7 straight and not covered 7 in a row, coming off a win as a dog. The Lakers coming off a tough loss against the Pacers where, they talked about the fatigue. That was a 3rd game in 4 nights for them. I think it should be a bounce back spot and a letdown spot here for the Brooklyn Nets. So I do like the Lakers against the spread. I do like the Lakers against the spread in this spot. And that is my team, so y'all take it with a grain of salt. But the only way I'm playing this game is Lakers. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Douglas, I like this. He says Zubac double-double and the Clippers money line is plus 150. Yeah, I think that's solid. LAC money line plus 150. I'll write that down. Yeah, I like that a lot. Joe Kim says D'Lo and Schroeder beef. I forgot about this. He says lean full game over 226.5. Lakers are 22-13 to the over, and Nets are 19-17 to the over. I never can take an over in the Nets game. I know that the total is low, but boy, do they struggle to score the basketball. I can't. It's hard for me to take overs on teams that can have a 13-point quarter, like the Chicago Bulls or the Brooklyn Nets or the Memphis Grizzlies or the Charlotte Hornets. I never can get there with an over just because I know that their offense can really become stagnant. For instance, I meant Golden State first half. Yeah. Nah, I think that's a good look. Definitely think that's a good look. Meek says Pelicans not playing today, so I'm not sure where that team total come from. Free Sauce says only thing I like in this game is Rui Hachimura under a half a steal. Okay. Tasha likes the Lakers team total over 116.5. I actually thought about this one as well, Tasha. I think Lakers should be able to get back to scoring. They are the 8th best offense as far as efficiency over the last 2 weeks. So Lakers team total over 116.5. Problem is, I just don't know if they're going to play that much offense or that much defense. Talking about that part. The Pelicans team. The Pelicans had a 13-point quarter yesterday. And I knew I didn't really know what to do with that game. I thought the Pelicans should have been able to score, and without Brandon Ingram, they did not. The Nets beat us last time by 12 points. Now the revenge line is only 5.5. NBA messing with us. It's because the Lakers don't cover on the road. Brian says LeBron James rebounds. I could definitely see that. I talked about Brooklyn not being a great rebounding team. Nicholas Claxton double-double for Futon Bet at plus 130. SGA now listed questionable, so money about to come in on OKC because he was listed as doubtful. We haven't gotten to that game yet, but we'll get there in a second. Martin says Lakers don't have a good record, but won 9 of their last 10 versus the East. Nando says the spread should be double digits. Something fishy here. I don't think it should be double digits, Nando. Not if you go look at the Lakers on the road. They don't win. They barely even win on the road. So I don't think you could be. I think people would jump at the idea of taking 9. And the Nets as a home dog has been profitable. The Nets are not super profitable. 8-10 against the number as a home dog, but they're only losing by 4 points. So you can't put the Lakers as a road favorite. I already gave you the number. They're only 3-9 against the spread. They're only winning by an average of 5 points. So, and I told you they're 1-8 against the spread in their last 8 games. 1-7 against the spread in their last 7 games. But they do tend to tread towards the over. And this team total that Tasha talked about is probably a really good look. Lakers 8-4 to the over. So Lakers team total, Lakers against the spread, I think would be the looks that I would be looking at in this game. Over the 116.5. It's really difficult for me to trust Brooklyn to be able to push the Lakers to that point. But the Lakers should be able to get out in transition and score. I do agree there. Cam Thomas over 28.5 points and rebounds. I couldn't talk you off, Fred. He's been cooking, and the Lakers struggle against guards. Kyra says Gabe coming back today. I'm happy to hear that. Tasha says Lakers revenge. Brian says Lakers third quarter live look coming back. Maybe. Tasha says she took the Lakers -5 last night. Okay, Tasha got a little CLV. Martin says I need the Lakers to win. Brooklyn is a lottery team. Oh, he says no, Lakers need to win. Brooklyn is a lottery team. Meek says my favorite 2 plays, the Cavs and the Mavs today. And Tasha, I'm a Laker fan. Stop that. SK says Lakers live bet if they get down at halftime. I agree with that. Rick likes the Lakers first half spread or first quarter. Nando says Lakers to play, but the line is off. I don't think it's off. It opened at 5. Steven says I like Bron, but I can't go against one of the greatest players ever in must win. I can see that. What else? Free Sauce reminding us that SGA is now listed questionable instead of unlikely to play. John going back says Kawhi under his points. Don't think he has to go crazy for them to win. I agree, John. I definitely agree. And somebody else could step up. Kawhi really been carrying them offensively. Thomas says I came in late. Any opinion on the Toronto Philly under 213.5? I would lean under, Thomas, if I had to play it. I said team total under for Toronto specifically. No way I could talk you off. Let's see. Nando says, Chris, Nets are trash, man. This line looks way too easy. Nah, they are trash, but it's all about matchups, Nando. It's all about matchups, man. That's why they lost the last time. Burns coming in on opposite side. He said, give me the Nets. Lakers 4th and 6th nights. That is a 4th and 6th nights. I think the fatigue hit the last game, though, Burns. I think given the situation, I think they got to win this game, especially with Golden State. Golden State going to win today, in my opinion. Wukum says Spurs top 10. We haven't gotten to that game, so I won't read that one yet. Let's see. Douglas says need your Lakers to get to 45 wins for a future bet to pay out. How many wins the Lakers got? Lakers got 41. Yeah, they're getting to 45. They definitely getting to 45. They got a cupcake schedule. Next couple games are easy for the Lakers, so they should win those games even if they don't cover the number. And Free Sauce says Dennis Schroeder over 6.5 assists has been cashing all month. It is a revenge game for Dennis Schroeder if you believe in those revenge game angles. Let's go to the next one. So yeah, in this one, I'd be Lakers team total over or Lakers minus the points in that one, even though they haven't necessarily been covering. So Heat and the Wizards. This was a game that I really didn't do too much homework on because I looked at the injury report. I see Kyle Kuzma's listed as injured for the Wizards. Tyus Jones is going to be out still, and you got Miami on the road. We know what happens when Miami goes on the road. So and Miami could get. I think Miami has Duncan Robinson listed as questionable. He could return in this game. Real quick, let me just double check. Yeah, Duncan Robinson is listed as probable, so he's going to be back today. Miami on the road with a total of that's below 220 points, which is this one is at 217. Only allowing 102.8 points per game. They've held 15 of their 17 opponents under their team total when they're on the road with a total that's below 220 points. This was Washington Wizards team total under 103.5 or nothing for me before I even looked at anything in this game. I do think you got to wait on the Kyle Kuzma news because he's coming off a stinker. The Wizards, they just got who did they lost to Detroit, right? So yeah, I'm not. It's probably not a game that I'm gonna play, but it's definitely Wizards team total under or nothing for me because we know that the Heat on the road probably the best defense that we've seen in the NBA. For whatever reason, when the Heat are on the road, they play really, really well. 27-10 to the under. So if you just blindly tell every Heat under, you win at 73% of your bets, and it's a cash cow. This team continues to go under on the road. I think 10 of their last 12, maybe 13 of the last 15. This only under is the way I would play this one. Didn't really look into any props. Let's see what you guys are saying about this one. I might have went through that so fast, I probably didn't even hear, didn't even write anything. Joe Kim says Heat want to cover as a double-digit spread for the first time in 2 seasons against the Blazers. Tell me about it, bro. I didn't play it, but yeah, sometimes it's like that. So real quick, like I said, I didn't break this game down into too much detail, but let's match the teams up on the floor real quick. We'll go first. We'll go the Miami Heat offense versus the Washington Wizards defense. Last 2 weeks, Miami 28th offensively, but Washington 17th defensively, so their defense has picked up just a tad bit. Miami has been the second best defense in the league, only allowing 104 points per 100 possessions, 13th in opponent effective field goal percentage, forcing the 4th most turnovers, allowing the fewest offensive rebounds and fouling at the 3rd lowest rate. So yeah, it's what. And the Wizards offense has been 25th in points scored per 100 possessions, only averaging 107.5. And a lot of this is because Tyus Jones hasn't been playing, right? You got to remember, he still remains out. The 21st in effective field goal percentage offensively, which is bottom 10, turning the ball over at the 4th highest rate. Offensive rebounding, that's the only thing they are doing well. They are getting the 6th most offensive rebounds, but that won't be there. Miami first in opponent offensive rebound percentage, and the Wizards aren't getting to the free throw line. So yeah, this one looks clear to me even before I go into the shot zones. Looks like the Miami Heat are shooting a ton of threes still. They get into the paint and shooting a ton of threes, not really shooting any shots at the rim. The Wizards have been good against the 3-point shot, 4th in opponent 3-point accuracy, only allowing teams to shoot about 33% over the last 2 weeks. Same thing for the above the break 3, same thing for the corner 3. For whatever reason, I know what reason, but the Wizards, they've done a really good job of defending the 3 all season. The problem is you just go to the rim and get whatever it is that you want against this team. And that's why their 3-point numbers look so good. So real quick, let's flip it and look at the Washington Wizards offense. If I can find it. The Washington Wizards offense versus the Miami Heat defense, at least over the last 2 weeks. All right, so let's see if Washington has any kind of matchup advantages at all. Washington is shooting the 12th most shots at the rim. 32% of their shots are coming at the rim. The Miami Heat are number 1 in limiting shots at the rim, forcing teams to shoot a bunch of threes. They are 21st in rim accuracy, though. And then you get the Wizards, a lot of shots in the paint as well. So rim and paint account for 55% of the shots for the Washington Wizards. The 11th in paint frequency, and 26th in paint accuracy. So they're not doing a great job there. Not shooting a ton of threes anymore. The Wizards not shooting a ton of threes, and that's where the Miami Heat have been struggling the most. The 24th in above the break three accuracy, allowing teams to shoot 37% over the past 2 weeks. Taking away the corner three completely, allowing teams to shoot 28%. So yeah, I don't see anything here. Let's go to transition. Frequency for Washington, they're 12th. Miami Heat have been the best defense against the transition. 7th in frequency, 1st in points allowed in transition over the last 2 weeks. So yeah, this to me screams Washington team total under. Yeah, it's the only way I would play it. Let's see what you guys are saying here. And I wanted to stay away from that big spread. Boom says double-digit favorites are more profitable around this time. I told you that the other day when the Heat beat Portland by 60. Not necessarily, Boom. I can look into it a little bit more, Dano. He says Portland was the public dog, the 14.5. I mean, if you haven't covered the spread in 2 years, at the line that it's at, you're right, it's gonna be public. And just because you win one of those don't mean you're gonna win the other. Jamie says, Chris, you sound under the weather, bro. I said that at the beginning of the show for people who joined late. I'm not feeling the greatest. It's just allergies, though. Head cold, sneezing, nose running. But it's all good. We still trying to cash. Boom C also still talking about that Heat. Jeremy says total should be 210. Free 7 points. And that goes with the team total under, like I talked about. I agree with this, Jeremy. Washington team total under the 103.5 is the only way I would look in this game. And Washington probably also won't be able to score, but I like the team total under just a tad bit more, maybe a sprinkle on both. Joakim says lean Heat first half -6.5 and full game under 217. Jabari says ban rebounds, centers versus the Wizards, cash cow. That's a fact. Tasha says I think Miami will cover. I did take them minus the 10.5 last night. Dano says if Wizards can't score, then we know the Heat defense can overpower them, and that's a fact. I agree there. Dano also mentioned some bias here. Says I'm a Heat fan, but I know when and where not to bet them. I think is what he meant. Burns says Heat should be the play here, but it's Sunday, so you never know, and Sundays are weird. Meek also says Heat should cover. Tasha says if Detroit beat them, I think Miami will whip them. I could agree. Joe Kim, I just pointed this out. He says the Heat are 27-10 to the under on the road, and the Wizards 16-20 to the under at home. Probably going to lock in the full game under 217. I would agree. I think the Wizards could struggle to get to 100 points. Free Salsa says if Kuzma plays, I'll take the spread plus 11. If not, I'll take Miami spread. Smoke says, still can't believe the Heat scored 142 points. Yeah, they do for some regression. Definitely do for some regression. And Burns says, we in VA, Chris, it's pollen season. It's always horrible around this time. Yeah, it's bad, Burns. The crazy thing is that I ain't even really been out the house. I've been downstairs in my man cave chilling over the last couple of days, and it's came through the ventilation system. Yeah, the pollen is bad, man. It's killing me right now. Zyrtec has been my best friend as of late. And then Douglas also liking that Wizards team total under. He says the best to make. He said is the best the bet to make for this game. Got to trust Miami defense being good and the Wizards offense being trash. And I would absolutely agree with both of those sentiments there. So let's keep it pushing. Enough on this game. Next game up, we got the Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs. So this is a game I am going to get invested in. So we got Golden State laying 8.5 points. I'm kicking myself because when I capped it last night, I was like, I don't think any money's going to come in on Golden State. They were laying 8, and now the line's up to 8.5. I think it's also some 9s out there as well. Make sure it didn't move. Yeah, it's still 8.5 right now. I like the Warriors in this spot. I've been talking a lot about the Warriors. We talked about them the other day. And it's desperation mode here. Now, granted, it's hard to fade the Spurs, and I understand that people don't want to do it because they have won 3 straight games as a dog. They beat the Phoenix Suns. They beat the Phoenix Suns at home, went to Utah, won that game, and then they come back home and they beat the Knicks as well. I like the under in this game, and I like the Golden State Warriors in this game. Now, let's break it down. Clay, and Kuminga, both listed as questionable. Clay was a late scratch. Of course, that I do think that contributed to us not, winning that first half, minus the 7.5 against Charlotte the other day. And you got Kuminga that's also listed as questionable. I'm not sure if Kuminga's going to play. I just feel like Golden State feel like they got whatever they need to win these games. So it's the last game of a 5-game road trip for Golden State before they go back home. They do have a big game against the Dallas Mavericks on Tuesday. The Warriors 6-4 straight up and against the spread in their last 10. They've won and covered 3 straight road games. No reason to jump off the wagon here now, I don't think. I don't think that they're going to be looking ahead because they know that the Houston Rockets are right on their tail. And Houston Rockets, also another team we're going to talk about in a really big game against the Dallas Mavericks here tonight as well. Here's why I like Golden State, even without Clay and Kuminga, because Keldon Johnson is listed as out, and Jeremy Sohan also already been ruled out. Jeremy Sohan actually may be done for the season with that ankle injury that he sustained the other day. And you get the San Antonio Spurs off an overtime game. They won by 4 points as an 8.5-point dog against the Knicks. And like I said, they've won and covered 3 straight games in a row. From a head-to-head perspective, Golden State 2-1 straight up. They haven't covered all the numbers, 1-2 against the spread. They did win and cover the most recent matchup when they were laying 5 versus the San Antonio Spurs. And now you see this line open at 8. I think that's indication that the books know that it's a Golden State spot. Because they lost the game 126-113 when they were at home. Where do you want to take the Warriors? On the road every single time. From a trend perspective, I looked at dogs who were coming off a win in an overtime game after the All-Star break, facing the team that's on a 3-game winning streak. Those teams, the dogs, which the San Antonio Spurs are just 2-12 straight up, 3-11 against the spread. That dates back to the 2009 season. San Antonio also 0-3 straight up, 1-2 against the spread after an overtime game this season, with losses of 40 points and 41 points to the Clippers and the Pacers. The Warriors 13-4 against the spread as road favorites, 76.5%. If you just blindly back the Warriors as a road favorite, winning those games by average of 11 points, they've actually won and covered 11 straight as road favorites. It's Warriors for me. It's got to be Warriors. They've actually also, and this is why I like San Antonio team total under. Golden State's held 6 of their 8 opponents. They've held 6 straight and 10 of their last 11 opponents under their team total when they're road favorites. Last 3 games, Golden State has a defensive rating of 100.4, which is the 3rd best in the league as well. So Golden State minus the 8.5, and San Antonio team total under 109.5 are the best bets in this game for me. Let me just double check and see if Golden State is still. Let me see if San Antonio team total is still the same. 109.5 is available on Bet365 at minus 115. That's the best odds. ESPN Bet got a minus 115 as well. DraftKings got a minus 120. But I like that team total under for the Spurs. I think the Golden State Warriors win with their defense again. And we got to remember something. San Antonio's defense has actually been playing really, really well. Outside of that overtime game against the Knicks, where they really just couldn't stop Jalen Brunson, they've been. That's where their bread and butter has been on the defensive end. It's one of the reasons they won 3 straight games as a dog. So I like their team total to go under specifically. I like the full game under too, but minus the 8.5 for Golden State. Top play on the board for me today. Let's see. What are you guys saying about this one? Vern says, I haven't been out the crib really either. And it's still bad. Yeah, it's really bad, bro. It's really bad. Tasha says she took the Warriors last night at minus 8. She thinks they Warriors will win out. They potentially could. Brian says Spurs first quarter, Golden State minus 8.5. I'm not looking towards the Spurs today. Not looking towards the Spurs. Nav Deep says Clay always letting me down hard. Player to predict. Yeah, so it was some knee inflammation that happened in the game against Orlando, and apparently he went through shoot around in the game against the Charlotte Hornets and couldn't play because the medical staff ruled him out. Burns says Warriors is definitely the play here. Joe Kim says Golden State wins, but will they be able to cover the 8.5? I think so. I do think so. Dano says Spurs top 10 defense right now. Vegas all took everybody money with the Spurs outright win versus the Knicks the other night, and I agree. He says, give me the points with a top 10 defense. I'll take them again in this spot. Vegas been taking money so easily. I agree. I disagree with this one. Dano. I think Golden State also. The Golden State defense been better than better than San Antonio. So that's where we disagree. And I think without Jeremy Sohan out there, I don't think the defense is going to be as good. So those are just my thoughts, though. Best of luck on your action. Joe Kim says Golden State 4th and 6th. They've been rolling. I'm just having a hard time to see if they cover and win by 10. I gave you guys the numbers, man. I gave you guys the numbers. Golden State. I did the homework for you. They've covered and won 11 straight as a road favorite. I have the Golden State Warriors. Matter of fact, you know what? Nah, y'all can look it up. I was about to show y'all. It's cool though. Dano says they have to stop Brunson, to be honest. Let him do his thing and stop everybody else. One man can't do it all, even if he drops 60. That's a fact. That's a fact, Dano. And that's exactly what happened. And remember, we talked about this game on Friday. I said that the Spurs have been doing a really good job of defending the 3-point line, and the Knicks were only shooting threes. And the difference is the Golden State Warriors, they're mixing it up. They're getting downhill, putting pressure on the rim, and doing whatever they need to do to win. So it's still Golden State and nothing for me. Tasha says, I'm taking the Warriors all week. Jerry says, gotta get -8 on the Warriors. And I agree with this. Tasha says she's taking them to win versus the Mavs and the Hawks versus the Mavs and Houston as well. Brian says I'm on the Warriors. Numbers don't lie. This time of the year, if the Warriors don't cover, I'm cool with it because I'm taking it. I'm taking both. I'm taking the Warriors minus the 8.5, and I'm also taking the Spurs team total under. One of those are gonna cash, if not both. They know. Probably rebuttal again. He says, yeah, it's definitely Denver. Definitely, it's been Denver defense. I don't know what this means, but with the line, you actually Golden State to win by double digits potentially. So what I said, Dano, was that when they're road favorites, they've been winning the games by average of 11 points. The Warriors are 13-4 against the spread as road favorites. That's 76.5%. They're winning by average of 11 points. We just need them to win by 9 in this spot. And they've won and covered 11 in a row as a road favorite. So that's my case. Free Sauce says, nah, I'm off of this game. Lost some bread when they beat the Knicks. Spurs been covering. I can understand. I told you. I figured it was going to be split. People who think San Antonio. I don't like San Antonio because they're coming off an overtime win. I don't like San Antonio because they're coming off 3 straight wins as a dog. And I don't like San Antonio because Golden State is the much more motivated team in this spot. And the Spurs will be without 2 starters. So if you want to ride with the Spurs, take them. I'm on Golden State here. SK says Wiggins PRA if Kuminga is out. Tasha says they're not covering tonight. They're talking about San Antonio. And Futon says we haven't gotten to this game, so we'll hold that comment. Thomas says 7.5 land. 137 still value. I don't. If I'm betting the spread, I don't want a -137. But if you feel comfortable laying the 7.5, cool. I just think that wherever the line is, you got to pick a side. You think the Spurs gonna lose by less than 8, or you think the Warriors gonna win by more than 8? So I'm comfortable. I don't think when it comes to basketball, I don't typically buy points. I'm not buying points when it comes to basketball. Maybe football, but not basketball. All right, let's keep it pushing. Some disagreement there, which is always good. It's good to hear those rebuttals. All right, so now we might have an updated line based on when I did this numbers. Let's see. Yeah, it's down to 2 now. So this was 4 when I first started the show. And of course, the total goes up as well. 215 is what you guys see. It's up to 217 now. So this was a game that I kind of wanted to wait on the injury news for. And now that we have it, we got SGA looking like he's more likely to play. And we have real quick, let me change this out. We got SGA looking like he's liable to play. OKC coming off 1 day's rest. This is the first of at least a 4-game Eastern Conference road trip. This is really going to test OKC. This is the reason why I think if Jamal Murray comes back and he can play, I think Denver's going to finish with the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. I think Minnesota may fall off just a tad bit, and Denver could finish number 1. And it's because OKC has this Eastern Conference road trip. They got a really difficult game against Boston coming up on this road trip specifically. So 1 day's rest for OKC. They're coming off a 25-point win as a 2-point dog against the Phoenix Suns the other day. 7-5 straight up, 7-4-1 against the spread as a road dog as well. This is typically the role. They know this is as a road dog, they typically win more games than they lose, which to me is always a buy-on spot for Oklahoma City. Now on the Knicks side, of course, you got Mitchell Robinson listed as questionable, Isaiah Hardenstein listed as probable. Mitchell Robinson did roll that ankle for anybody who got a chance to watch that Knicks versus Spurs game. And like I said, Hardenstein is listed as probable. I think OG Anunoby, he's not going to play in this one, but I think that he's been going through, some practices and, getting himself back closer to playing as well. So definitely want to watch the status for him. I just want to double check real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, and Alex Burks as well. He is game time decision in this game today, and Burks is listed as probable. So you get him back because I know he missed the last game. So talk about this one. I think it's a Knicks spot. I know that OKC has owned the Knicks. Like if you go through and look at it, that was one thing that really jumped off to me, is especially at the Garden too. I remember last year, like not like in 2023, but like last basketball season, it was a matinee spot between these two teams, and OKC went into New York and smoked the Knicks. What was that? That was 145 to 135. Scored 145 points at MSG back on November the 13th, 2022. I vividly remember that game because it was a matinee start on a Saturday. And OKC has won 8 of the last 10 matchups head to head. They already beat them 129 to 120 in OKC earlier this season, laying 3.5 back on December the 27th. But that was when the Knicks had first lost Mitchell Robinson, if anybody remember that. And of course, they did have OG Anunoby as well, and they won't have him today. But the Knicks, 7-2 straight up and against the spread after losing as a favorite this season. They typically bounce back. If they're at home, they're perfect 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread, coming off a loss as a favorite. And you also got the overtime game for the Oklahoma City. I'm sorry, for the Knicks, you do have the overtime game, which doesn't bode well for them. I don't like that spot as much. What else did I look at? I looked at for a league-wide trend, home favorites coming off a loss as a favorite, facing an opponent that's coming off a win as a dog, which OKC, of course, did win as a dog. 162 and 54. That's 74% says that the Knicks are favorites in this game for a reason. It's a difficult game for sure. But I think I probably won't play this one, if I'm being honest with you guys. I probably will not play this game. If I had to play it, I think I'd probably be looking towards the under. SGA gets ruled in, and I think the total will go up, and I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. OKC, we got to remember the importance of this game. OKC is now tied with the Minnesota Timberwolves for the best record in the Western Conference. So defensively, I think they absolutely show up here. What do the Knicks like to do? Shoot a ton of threes. OKC, they can defend the three-point line well. Knicks also like to really get out, run in transition. OKC, one of the better, transition defenses in the league. So to me, it's more of an under game versus trying to pick the side. I think it's a toss-up type game, if I'm being honest with you guys. Let's see what you guys say here. Tasha says, I did take OKC plus the 3.5 and the over 215. So she thinks it's over. Burns says Knicks all day here. Freesaw says SGA now questionable. I'll take his under 5.5 assists if he does play. Frankie says, can't fade the Spurs on Pop's birthday. I didn't even know it was his birthday. Burns says line movement here indicates it's a Knicks spot. If we know anything about line movement. Joe Kim says Knicks are 7-10-1 off a loss ATS, but Thunder as a road dog. That's a fact, man. It's tough. It is tough. That's why I'm staying off the side. I could definitely see this one going either way. Josh Hart rebounds over. Yeah, that's a fact. I could definitely see Josh Hart rebounds going crazy in this game. Tasha says, and I took OKC team total over 105.5 last night. Line indicates OKC last night at plus 3.5. Now it's plus 2. Well, it moved it. That's funny, Tasha. It's just it's not a game that I'm messing with, man. Burns says take the Knicks, Chris. Take the Knicks, Chris. They're gonna cover. Yeah, I don't like that they off the overtime game. Also, don't like that the Thunder are off the win as a dog. But they have done well off of win as a dog this year. Better, but the Knicks, like I said, they do bounce back in the spot as well. So when I can find things to back both sides, I typically stay off the game. Thunder in previous win as a dog this season, they are 6-3 straight up, 5-4 against the spread, winning by an average of 9 points per game, 7-2 to the under. Are the Thunder after they've won as a dog? Real quick, let's look at it if they're on the road too. 2-2 straight up, 2-2 against the spread, 2-2 to the over or 2-2 to the under, however you want to call it. So nothing significant there. Real quick, Knicks and home, and just a close game. So line indicates that they are going to win by 3 or less than 3, or the line indicates that they are going to lose by less than 3. I'm just curious to see what this is. So, I did look at this. 7-4 straight up, 7-4 against the spread are the Knicks when the line is within 3 points. So either they're a dog of less than 3 or a favorite of less than 3. What about the Knicks after overtime game? First overtime game for the Knicks this season? I don't think I knew that. Okay. So first overtime game for the Knicks this season. Tasha says total went up from 215 to 217, Chris. Jeremy says take the under, and that's the way I'm looking. He was doubtful when spread began. Yeah, I agree there. Whenever I bet against the Knicks, they win. So do what y'all wish. I agree. Need some sleep says got the Thunder plus 3.5 last night and hopes SGA plays. Yeah, it's gonna move if he's questionable. Absolutely, Burns. He could still not play. We'll see how it goes though. I hope you are smart enough to know that Brunson coming off that big game, so he definitely on the scouting report under on Brunson points, rebounds, and assists. Dano says. John says Knicks gonna ball after that loss to the Spurs, and I don't know if it's gonna be that easy, John. Like I said, the Thunder play well against the Knicks. They beaten them 8 out of 10 games. And the Knicks wins have actually come in OKC. So since the 2000, and granted, this is a long time, all this is not relevant, but since the 2018 season, OKC's beaten New York every single time in New York. So, I mean, y'all take that and do what y'all wish with it, but the Knicks have not won a home game. They lost in 2022. They lost in 2022, 2021, 2020. So for whatever reason, OKC they play this team really, really well. John says, man, it's Sunday. Whatever systems you got, trends, works for you on weekdays, go the opposite way. And that's a fact. That is a fact. Let's go on to another game, though. Sounds like people conflicted on this one. But it's under for me in that game or nothing at all before I want to take a side. So here's a difficult game that was hard to handicap for me. So you got the Bulls and you got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves laying 8. This line was at 8 yesterday. 8.5 is what I saw this morning when I woke up, and the total is at 214. And let's see, the total is at. I just want to double check it real quick, make sure it's not moved. Yeah, total down to 213.5. Well, actually opened at 212.5. I'm sorry. Opened at 212, went up to 214, which is what you guys see on the screen. Now it's back down to 213.5. Spread really just stayed the same. -8, -8.5 in favor of the Timberwolves. So you get a Bulls team that's coming off one day's rest. This is the first leg of a back-to-back. They got a very, very big game tomorrow, seeding-wise, against the Atlanta Hawks, who are one game behind them for the final play-in spot in the Eastern Conference. And if you know anything about the play-in seeds, is that both of these teams are the 9th and 10th seed. The 9th seed hosts the 10th seed. So I know we still got about 8 or 9 games left in the season, but this game tomorrow for the Bulls against the Hawks means a lot more. I mean, they both mean a lot, but that game tomorrow will mean a lot as well. Of course, the Chicago Bulls are coming off a loss as a 3-point road favorite. This team does play a lot better on the road as a dog, 19-17 against the spread on the road. but they haven't looked like the best versions of themselves recently. Just 4-6 straight up, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. However, I also wanted to mention this, that Chicago is 5-7 straight up, only 4-8 against the spread when they're playing on the first leg of a back-to-back. So sometimes that bodes well for teams like the Pacers, not so much for the Bulls. However, this is an angle for the Bulls though that kind of makes me kind of look their way, and I think it could be a matchup thing, revenge angle. They did beat them 129-123 in Chicago on February the 6th. They were they were getting 4.5 points, and that game, of course, went over the total because it did go to overtime. But here's why you kind of gotta like the Bulls. For whatever reason, they bounced back. They're 9-2 straight up, 7-4 against the spread when they're coming off, when they're playing a game after they've lost as a favorite, including 7 straight wins outright. So I think it could be a somewhat of a flat spot for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Of course, they're coming off, they are 1 day's rest. They're coming off the win against the Denver Nuggets. They are now the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Wouldn't it be so like Timberwolves like to come out here and keep and let the Chicago Bulls hang around? They also got a big game against the Houston Rockets on Tuesday as well, due to Minnesota Timberwolves. So it's a difficult game to handicap. Of course, you still got Anthony Edwards, who and Rudy Gobert listed as questionable. They're kind of like LeBron James and Anthony Davis at this point. Every single game they're on the injury report with whatever the injuries are that they're dealing with. I think it's an ankle for Ant and I forgot what it is for Rudy Gobert. But both of those guys are listed as questionable as well. So it's a tough game for me. I didn't really do too much of a deep dive as far as like X's and O's, but I know that I typically don't like laying 8.5 points with the Minnesota Timberwolves, even though they have been really, really good recently. 7-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. It's a difficult game. What do you guys think about this one? Probably a game that I'm not going to be involved in either. Douglas says Brunson over his 5.5 assists and under the 216.5 points for this game is a plus 228. Brunson has covered over 5.5 assists, 8 of his last 10. Okay. Ski, what's going on, my brother? He says, Chris, up grinding early on the weekend. Respect. Trying to cash, Ski. It's a big slate today, man. I need the cash, Ski. I need the cash. Tasha says, oh, yeah, profit in the house. Need some sleep. Says, anyone else get the trifecta on the Magic yesterday and the team total over? I hope people cashed it. I do hope they cashed. Burns says, Bulls is the play here. Yeah, that's the only way I would look as well. 8.5 seems like a big number. And granted, they just wet the bed. But the Minnesota Timberwolves don't shoot threes like the Brooklyn Nets do. And that's the downfall of the Chicago Bulls defense, is their 3-point shooting, 3-point defense. Fox 5 says, morning, Chris, and happy Easter here for my Bulls. They got the same game today, either cover or win outright. Timberwolves 0-5 against the spread when laying 8 points as an underdog. So they are home favorite here in this spot, Fox 5. So I don't know if that's right. Tasha says Chicago's trash. Joakim says the Wolves coming off a big win from the Nuggets. Will Wolves be motivated to blow out the Bulls here? That's my point. I think it's Chicago spot. I don't want to lay 8.5 after that big win that they just got. This team, to me, just still is very immature. But can you trust Chicago's offense to be able to score enough points to hang around? It's a difficult game, man. Let's see. Fox 5 says against trash teams, they are, Tasha. Happy Easter, everyone. Tasha likes the Wolves first half. Oh, he says Timberwolves. Okay. He says, sorry, I meant favorites for the Timberwolves. Okay. So looks like a Chicago spot. BG says, looking at somebody's rebounds in this one, should be a game where it's a bunch of missed shots for sure. Jeremy says, low total, big spread, over 3 possessions, take Chicago. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, even though it's a revenge spot for the Timberwolves. Malik's a Chicago guy. He says, weird one for sure. I do like the Timberwolves minus 3.5 in the first quarter. DeMar talked about the team having to play all 48 minutes after the fourth quarter against the Nets. Tough game, have to lean Timberwolves. So he likes the Timberwolves here. Shiny says too much good work on the board for me to worry about too much about this game, and I agree. I ain't messing with this game. Tasha says I'm on the Wolves team total over 111, and I got them at over 109 for the team total for the Timberwolves. Okay, don't sound like a lot of people are interested in this game. Let's move on to the last game on the board for today. We got the Sacramento Kings laying 11.5 points at home, laying 12 points at home, and we got a Jazz team. Another big road dog for the Utah Jazz. So this line opened at 224. I was so close. It was 224.5. I was so close to pulling the trigger yesterday with the under. I think this is an under type game. I just worry that Utah could potentially give up a ton of points, but I got a lot of data to support the under. And 222.5, which is where the total is now, doesn't really scare me too much with it, just a point and a half. So I could potentially still get to the under in this game. And here's the reason why. So for Utah, they did say that Lauri Markkanen is out. He's going to be reevaluated in about 2 weeks. You might as well just say he's done for the season. Clarkson also listed as out. And now you got John Collins listed as questionable. This Utah team, we know that they haven't been good, but now they're starting to miss some of the pieces that, really, really helped them, specifically, on the rebounding front. If they can't rebound the basketball, I think they really could struggle to score. So you need John Collins in my opinion, when you only have Walker Kessler out there who doesn't really bring you a lot of offense. Also, the Kings have been really, really good, allowing of stopping teams in the paint. So Utah, 1 day's rest. This is a one-off road game before they go back home. And they've really struggled. Like I said, 1-9 straight up, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. They're only 12-19 against the spread as a road dog, and 2-5 against the spread as a road dog since the All-Star break. They're losing those games by an average of 15 points. On the Sacramento side, they did lose Malik Monk. I talked about liking his points in that game on Saturday against the Dallas Mavericks, and of course, he played 1 minute. And the reports are saying that unless the Sacramento Kings make a deep run into the playoffs, that De'Aaron Fox probably won't return. I'm sorry, not De'Aaron Fox. Malik Monk probably won't return this season. You're also going to be without Trey Lyles. You continue to be without him. And Kevin Huerter is also done for the season. 4th straight home game for Sacramento. And you typically don't like the lay with Sacramento. We know that they're only 14-22 against the spread as a home favorite, as at home, 14-22, and just 12-20 against the spread as a home favorite. They also got a big divisional game against the Los Angeles Clippers on Tuesday as well when they come into town. And the Kings are just 2-8 against the spread as a home favorite after the All-Star break. So both of these teams are really, really bad spots when you look at it from that perspective. But to me, this one feels like you got to look towards, like I said, towards the under. So a couple of different things I looked at. But first off, both of these teams are bottom 10 offensive units over the last 5 games. The Kings are 7th in defensive efficiency over the last 2 weeks, and they'll be without Monk and Huerter. So to me, that screams that they won't be able to score as many points. So I looked a little deeper. The Kings are 9-0 to the under in games that Kevin Huerter doesn't play in. And I started to think, God damn, their defense get that much better? Kevin Huerter's not a good defender, and all he's out there to do is play offense. So the two games against the Dallas Mavericks, of course, both went under. And they've been playing a lot better defense. They also, I think their team total is like 117.5. You don't have to score that many points against this Utah Jazz team. So, and the opposite of Kevin Huerter being in, they're 33, 29, and 2 to the over in games with them. So I think this is an under type game. I think Utah can struggle to score, especially with Sacramento. And I don't think it's a super flat spot for Sacramento. Granted, when they're laying double digits, you typically want to stay off of them. But this team has actually lost back-to-back games against the Dallas Mavericks. So I think they come out here and blast Utah, actually. First quarter, first half, I think are both in play for the Sacramento Kings. Just really not thinking Utah is going to be able to keep up. And I like that the Kings are coming off back-to-back losses. They should be super motivated in this spot. Utah also allowing 32.4 points in the first quarter as road dogs since the All-Star break. And the Kings been playing much better defense. So Kings first quarter spread, Kings first half spread. I think it's got to be a King spot. And I think it's a look towards the under. Utah team total under, I considered as well, but that number was a tad bit too low for me to get to. Let's see what you guys are saying here. LJ, my guy, says, what's up, Chris? Let's cash. See you at noon, my brother. Absolutely. Noon for you. 1 p.m. for me, LJ. We will be on with J Money, myself and LJ at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. B Cunning says Kings will cover here. Burns also said the Kings will cover here. Freesaw says Coach said Fox and Sabonis. I did see this. Fox and Sabonis minutes are going to be going up without Monk. He says got to take Fox points and Sabonis assist tonight. It could be that simple, Freesaw. No way I could talk you off. Jared says Kings is home favorites, land double digits equals hell no. And it hasn't been, but the Jazz, I gave you guys the numbers. The Jazz is home dog since the All-Star break, losing by an average of 15 points. So we couldn't expect this line to be like 7.5 when the Jazz have been trash, since the All-Star break. Real Boxing TV says, Chris, did you? I skipped the Mavs in the Rockets game. We'll go back to that game. I always forget a graphic, man. We'll go back to that game in a second. Douglas also mentioned that game. We'll get to that game in a second. Jared says on the prop side, he likes Harrison Barnes at 15 points at minus 130 on DraftKings. Says his field goal usage is just way too high without those guys in. He's been hunting shots. Mike Brown is adamant that they want that 6 seed, high minutes for the starters. Yeah, I think they blow them out early. I do think that, coming off back-to-back losses, Jazz have nothing to play for, and they don't have a bunch of defenders out there. So Sacramento first quarter ATS and Sacramento first half. Maybe you split it, but I do think it's a spot where Sacramento gets this team out of the way early. We'll go back to the Rockets and the Mavs game. Let's see. Joe Kim says Mike Brown said Fox and some bonus going to play more minutes. Plus, Davion Mitchell and Keon Ellis going to play more, and they play more defense. I like the under here as well. Burns says it's a Kings trifecta spot, so a lot of love for the Kings here. Jamie says Zubac double-double is plus 135 on FanDuel. We talked about this as well. Tasha says, sorry, Chris, I like the over, but she's staying off. I just don't know, Tasha. This is what talked me off. So I looked at the Jazz and I gave you guys the numbers. Without Kevin Huerter, the Kings are 9-0 to the under. But the Jazz as road dogs after the All-Star break, they're giving up. They're 4-3 to the under in this spot. But they're giving up 126.6 points per game. The Rockets just scored 147 on them. The Mavs scored 113. Thunder scored 119. Nuggets scored 142. Heat scored 126. Magic scored 115. And the Hawks scored 127. So that's the reason why I couldn't quite get there. I think it's just the first quarter, first half, honestly, is what I want to play. Sacramento should be motivated in this spot. And like I said, I know they don't cover, but I'm looking at these numbers. There's an 8-point margin in the first quarter with the Jazz as road dogs after the All-Star break. No Lauri Markkanen, no Jordan Clarkson. This should be 1 + 1 = 2. Shout out to my guy Ski. This should be a 1 + 1 = 2 spot for the Sacramento Kings here. I worry about the backdoor cover, so I think I'll just stay first quarter, first half. But it should be a spot where the Kings come out super motivated and trash the Jazz. Let's see. Freesaw says, can't talk you off for that trifecta. They need a win. I like how the Magic needed a win against the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday. And Joe Kim says, maybe Kings team total over Jazz fade Jazz defense. So this was the problem, Joe Kim. I think while they can score that many points, will it be necessary? Like, how much of an impact because when you're talking about 117, you really need the Kings not take their foot off the gas. Their offense has not been as great over the last 2 weeks. And granted, we're talking about the Jazz defense on the road, but their offense just hasn't been that great. And I could see it going both ways, which to me is scary enough to stay off of it. I'll take the spread and stay off of the total. Stay off of the team total. Let's real quick. Sacramento's offense is 22nd. They're bottom 10. Like I said, bottom 10 offense, 27th in effective field goal percentage. And granted, they've been playing against a much tougher competition. That was something that I looked into as well. Looking at the Kings. The Kings last 7 games, they had the last 8 games, they had the Knicks, the Grizzlies. They won that game against the Grizzlies. They had the Raptors, the Wizards. So they have some cupcakes in there. But the last 4, they played the Magic, the 76ers, the Mavs, and the Mavs. So it has been some really difficult defenses in there. And they're 7-1 to the under in their last 8 games as well. Only averaging 106 points are the Sacramento Kings. And they have failed to hit 118 in every game except against the Raptors and the Grizzlies. So yeah. I think it's Kings early if I had to play it. Let's see. Blow off steam from losing back to back against the Mavs. I agree. Real quick, let's look at that. Let's look at home favorites laying double digits off back to back losses. This season, teams are just 11-10 against the spread, laying double digits off back-to-back home losses. Let's see. Let's make it a little more specific. What if they've lost back-to-back home games? And let's just do, not this season, let's just go to whole database and look at after the All-Star break. Just 20, 20, and 2. So about 50%, 50% ATS. But the last couple years have been profitable. So since the 2000, I'm looking at something that says this is a king spot. So since the 2019 season, 7-3 against the spread, winning by average of 17 points per game. Are the home favorites off double-digit losses as a home favorite. So a double-digit favorite off a loss, off 2 back-to-back losses as a home favorite. After the All-Star break, 11-0 straight up, 7-3-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. Since the 2020 season. All right, let's go. Douglas says if the Kings are super motivated here, then I can get interested. Anyone with the Kings winning all 4 quarters for plus 550. Okay. See what it says, Kings first half minus the 7 on DraftKings. I like it. I'm probably going to be invested. The boy says, I want to bet the Kings so bad, but they let me down too much. Always a spot, though, the boy. Free Sauce says if John Collins don't play some bonus rebounds, he might touch 20. I could definitely see that. And Free Sauce says this is not even statistical. The Kings have to come out raining fire after those back-to-back losses at home. No cap. I agree. All right. So I didn't make a graphic. So we'll go here. And these were the looks that we kind of talked about already. And you guys see, I do got the Dallas Mavericks money line here. So y'all already see which way I'm looking, but I haven't played it yet. So let's go to that game real quick. It's the last game on the board. I do got notes for it. Like I said, I just didn't make a slide for it. So Dallas, Houston. This line opened with Dallas laying, I think it was 2 points last night. That's what I wrote it down at. And I wrote the total down at 229. Right now, we see a total of 231 or 230 and a half. So the total has gone up, and Dallas is laying 2.5 points now. So Luka is listed as questionable on the Dallas side. Beat writers did say that. Beat writers said that he was a little banged up, but they asked him, and he said that he'll be okay. So I do expect Luka to play in this game. You get a Dallas team that is off 1 day's rest. It's the 4th game of a 5-game road trip. They're 9-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. Looking like the best team in basketball outside of probably the team that they're playing against, right? So on the Houston side, Cam Whitmore is listed as probable. He could return. He's missed probably about 2 weeks. And it's a one-off home game for the Houston Rockets. After 2 straight road games, then they got another big road game against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Wednesday. The Houston Rockets not winning outright. Like they're going to lose one of these games. They got really tough schedule coming up. And they've been playing against the Cupcakes, which we're going to get there in a second. So they'll play this home game. They go back out to play Minnesota on Wednesday. They're 10-0 straight up, 8-2 against the spread, and seems to be closer to a loss than a win is what I wrote in my notes last night. They beat the Utah Jazz by 1 point, and they were laying 8. So to me, that screams that they're running out of gas. They went to overtime with the Oklahoma City Thunder the night before. So I think that they could be a little bit more gassed than this Dallas Mavericks team. The Dallas Mavericks, of course, they are in the 4th game of a 5-game road trip, but they've been in Sacramento since last week. Remember, they played. Well, they've been in Sacramento all week because they played Sacramento. They went to Utah, beat Utah, went to Sacramento, beat Sacramento, got 2 days of rest, then beat Sacramento again, and now they're back home. Well, not home, but they're in the state of Texas. So as long as Dallas, in my opinion, as long as Dallas wants to win this game, I think that they can. From a head-to-head perspective, Dallas did win the first matchup. Houston won the second game, but that game was played without Luka, without Kyrie, and it was before they got PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford in the trade. I also think that the under is in play here as well. I think, looking at Dallas, they are 8-2 to the under in their last 10, including 6 straight. And both of these teams really, really need to win for our seeding. So I think it's got to be an under. Dallas 8-2 to the under. Dallas also 9-4 to the under in road games with a 3-point spread either way. And I do understand, right? The Rockets are 7-2 straight up and against the spread as a home dog of 3 points or less. They're also 10-7 and 12-5, 10-12, 10-7 straight up, 12-5 against the spread as a home dog this season. But it's still Mavs or nothing for me. Dallas is 17-3 straight up, 16-4 against the spread on the road as a favorite. They're winning by an average of 7 points. They're also 9-4 straight up and against the spread in road games with a 3-point spread either way. So I know that the Rockets have been balling. I know that this is one that I think will be divided. But I think I think the Mavs still can win this game here. I do think I'm not betting against them because one thing I looked into was, and granted, I'm not going to try to go through and pick apart the Rockets and like really say that they've been playing against a bunch of cupcakes, because they do have some really good wins. But I just went through and looked at it, and they got wins in here against the Wizards, the Bulls, the Jazz, and the Trailblazers. And the Jazz again. The competitive games, they did beat the Cavs, beat the brakes off the Cavs, and they did beat the Thunder. Very impressive win, but that was without SGA. But now you get a step up in class. The Mavs are hooping. I know that the Mavs have the more difficult schedule. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger is because it's the 4th game of a 5-game road trip for the Mavs. And Luka's knee, I think, is probably bothering him a little bit more than what we've grown to see, what we think is bothering him, honestly. So I like this. I like the Dallas Mavericks, but like I said, I didn't quite get there. It's the only way I'm looking, though. Let's see what you guys. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of comments on this one. Let's see what you guys are thinking here. Shadow Stepper says Utah Sacramento first half over 58 is what he likes. Maybe a Utah team total first half over. Sheeny says took Dallas money line at minus 122 last night, but missed when it dropped to minus 102 on FanDuel. Free Soul says, baby on the way, Jalen Green versus Ramadan Kyrie. Gonna be a good game. Tasha says Houston will lose definitely to the Warriors. They got the Warriors on deck as well. Burns likes the Rockets. He says they'll cover. Tasha says she took Dallas last night. This is what I expected. A bunch of back and forth. I don't expect people to be on the same side in this game. Joe Kim says Rockets really struggle to pull out that win against Utah in Utah. I agree there. Sheeny says, nah, baby on the way, and Ramadan Kyrie is going to be good. That's a fact. This is why you could just chill, man. Just chill and watch it. You don't necessarily got to bet it. Freesaw says he's taking Jalen Green over his 3.5 assists. Scouting reports are up on his scoring and Fred VanVleet passing. I would agree there. Burns says Rockets will step it up here. And COK says, like the Mavs if Luka is in. Chris Raptor says Mavs play Houston, Golden State, Atlanta, Golden State, Houston, next 5 games. Yeah, they're due for some regression as well, but it's really difficult to go against this Dallas Mavericks team. It's really difficult to go against both teams, but I think the Mavs, I think this is the game that they're gonna miss Sengun. Put it like that. I think they're gonna miss Sengun a lot. Free Sauce likes Luka over his 9.5 rebounds. Jabari says he's taking the Mavs. Luka desperately needs the rest, and getting out the play-in will give him that. And that's a fact. The Rockets are fighting for their lives, though, because they still need to win games. So I couldn't talk anybody off wanting to play, the Rockets. They should be in a much more desperate spot. But I just think that, when you're looking at teams and seeing how they play, to me, the Rockets are due to lose one before this Dallas Mavericks team is. When you go into Utah and only win by 1 point, to me that means you're kind of teetering on a loss. So I think the Mavs are the better team too. So let's see. Douglas says Rockets been hot and the Mavs with 2 elite scorers. So can I interest anyone on both teams to score over 23 points in each quarter? at plus 400. That could be a good look. That could definitely be a good look. Tasha says,
So don't open these Easter eggs.
okay, I'm on. All right, cool. All right, my son just popped. All right, cool. I'm back. My son just popped in on me. So yeah. So for me, it's still Dallas. It's Dallas is nothing in this game. But this is what I had on my short list. I told you guys Golden State is the top play for me today. I'm comfortable laying the 8.5. I'm also comfortable taking San Antonio team total under 109.5. If Clay doesn't play, Golden State will have to rely on their defense even more because without his shooting, and then you got to wait on Kuminga as well. So I was that's why I put that on the short list. Toronto team total under the 103.5. I went through and gave a detailed breakdown on that one. Dallas money line, as you guys see, in Sacramento and Utah under to 223. I think is absolutely in place as well. As we get some news that Jovic is going to play for the Miami Heat today. I don't think I saw any other injury news. I think that's the first thing Underdogs reported today. So these would be the looks, man. I also considered I kind of wrote these down as we kind of talked them out. Not playing all of them, but the Clippers first quarter, I talked about this Charlotte scoring about 22 points in the first quarter. I think the Clippers could take advantage of them early. A lot of teams have when the Charlotte Hornets have been double-digit dogs. Also, somebody mentioned Zubac. I talked about Zubac. Points plus rebounds is the way I was looking. But Zubac double-double was plus 110. Then somebody shouted out Zubac double-double in a Clippers money line is at plus 150. I think that's absolutely in play. Charlotte team total, first quarter team total under is also in play. I wrote that one down, put a star beside it. The Lakers team total, I told you guys I like the Lakers, but I'm not sure if I'm going to play the game. Lakers team total over 116.5. Wizards team total under 103.5 is not on here, but I'm I'm probably going to get there with that. And then Sacramento, first quarter and first half. Maybe even that over this under, just because Sacramento may be able to score against this Utah defense. But wait on the John Collins news. What are you guys saying before we wrap it up? Sheen says they've been teetering on a loss since the OKC game. That's what I said. Sheen did. They could have potentially lost that game. They had to fight back. Then you go to Utah. So yeah, it's Dallas. It's Dallas for me. Tasha says I got Mavs plus 1. Okay. She says I'm sorry I can't take Chicago. Chris Raptor says if the Lakers lose, they're getting close to out of play-in. If Brooklyn loses today, they are eliminated from playoff seeding. Well, they just gonna be eliminated. I don't think the Lakers losing to the Brooklyn Nets today. That's who said it. Yeah, I think Douglas did say it. Mentioned the points, rebounds, and the mentioned the Zubac look. Douglas did say that. And Free Sauce says, appreciate all the insight, my bro, especially on the Easter Sunday. Blessings to you and the family, gang. Burns says, appreciate that, Free Sauce. My son just popped down on me. He running through the house trying to find the Easter eggs now. I'm about to go rap with my boy. See if he found all the Easter eggs. So I'm about to jump off here. Burns says, I'm on the Cavs today. Who you got in that one, Chris? I didn't play that game, Burns. I can't play it without knowing the status of Jamal Murray. The Denver Nuggets off 2 straight losses. I don't want to bet against them. I gave you guys the date. I think they hadn't lost 2 games in a row at home since, what did I tell you guys? Like March the 14th, 2022. So it's been 2 years since the Denver Nuggets have lost back-to-back home games. I can't bet against them, especially with them sliding out of the number 1 seed in the Western Conference and down to 3. So I need Jamal Murray in though. If Jamal Murray's in, I'm gonna play the under. Once it goes up, I'm gonna play the under and stay away from the side. I do feel like Cleveland could potentially cover. I told you guys that Cleveland is 3-2 straight up as a road dog on the season. So they've been winning those games. So I couldn't talk you off, Burns. I just think Denver is in a much more motivated spot here. But I like the under a little bit more. I do think it's gonna be a defensive game. Also, real quick, Donovan Mitchell did say every single game from here on out is a playoff game. If that don't scream defense, I don't know what else is scream. So yeah, that's the way I'm looking. Happy, appreciate the question, Burns. Happy Easter to Mr. Cash Out as well. Mr. Cash Out says, did y'all like the over in the Knicks game? I actually like the under once SGA is ruled in. Cash Out, I'm not looking towards these overs, man. I'm not looking towards a lot of overs at all. So real quick, I just want to, before I get off here, I did look into this. There's two things I want to say real quick. So since the 15th of March, about 2 weeks, hold on, make sure I got this right. All right, cool. No, not really looking to address the total. What I wanted to say was all of the games today, like not all of them, but majority of the games today are early start time. I think that's something you got to take into your handicap. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show. These games start at 6 o'clock today instead of 7 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4. Philly, Toronto is early. LA and Charlotte is early. Now remember, Charlotte, LA typically plays at 10 o'clock Eastern time on the East Coast. 10 o'clock Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time. And they're playing at 6 o'clock on the East Coast, so that could throw them off a little bit. Brooklyn and LA, same thing for the Lakers playing early on a Sunday. And then Miami, Washington, they're just up an hour early. But Cleveland and Denver, I think it does have a big impact on as well. And I gave you guys the matinee numbers. So I actually created a Discord. Free Sauce says you need a Discord as well, bros. Yeah, I actually created a Discord. I just didn't send the link out to anybody about 2 weeks ago. I don't think I have enough time to keep up with a Discord, but I did create one. Maybe eventually I'll put it out, share it with everybody. Let's see. Livestone says if you had to put 1K on one play today, 1K is subjective, Livestone. If I had to put $1,000 on a bet today, you know what? I'll just say that Golden State is my top play. I ain't gonna say if I had to put $1,000 on any day. SGA participated in shoot around. Burns says he got the Cavs, the Nets, the Knicks, the Rockets, the Kings, the Bulls, and the Warriors today. Best of luck, Burns. Appreciate you, my brother. Mr. Cash Out says Wiz have covered 10.5 versus Miami 100% since 2022. 77 figure says waiting on SGA on OKC plus the 2.5, the top play for him. Yeah. Best bet today is Golden State minus the 8.5. That's what I'll tell you guys. That's what I like the most. And I'll send it out to the members in a second. I'm also playing San Antonio team total under 109.5. And I'll go through these ones that we came up with on the show and just look a little bit deeper. I'll be back on at 1 p.m. Eastern time with my brothers, J Money and LJ. And we'll go through, I'll give out official plays over there as well. But until then, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday, man. Like I said, happy Easter to everybody. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you found the show helpful at all, do me a favor, just hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't.